my chosen one. Something irreversible has just been written about you in the courts of heaven. This is not a random message. This is not motivation. This is not coincidence. God has decided to bless you because of your last step of faith, but He warns, don't tell anyone. This is a personal reward. Open it before tonight ends. Yes, you heard that correctly. A decision has already been made. Not tomorrow. Not next month. It has already been signed in the unseen realm because of the last step you took when no one was watching. You thought it was small. You thought it was unnoticed. You even questioned if it mattered. But heaven recorded it. Archangel Michael stood as a witness when you chose faith over fear. When you decided to trust instead of complain. When you obeyed even though it cost you comfort. You may not have seen thunder. You may not have heard a loud voice. But in the spirit, there was movement. Let me tell you something that may shock you. That single act of faith disrupted a spiritual delay that had been hovering over your life. It broke a pattern. It shifted a timeline. And now something that was waiting has been released. But here is the warning. This blessing is personal. This reward is sacred. And it must not be announced. There are seasons where God tells you to testify, and there are seasons where He tells you to stay silent. This is a silent season. Why? Because not everyone around you is assigned to celebrate your elevation. Some are assigned to observe. Some are assigned to question. And some are simply not prepared to understand what God is about to do for you. Archangel Michael is guarding this transition carefully. The moment you step into this blessing, there will be shifts in your home, your atmosphere, even in the energy around the place you are living in. Yes, this is connected to your house. Something about your environment is about to change. It may not be physical at first. It may be spiritual. Peace where there was tension. Clarity where there was confusion. Favor where there was stagnation. But listen closely. You must open it before tonight ends. What does that mean? It means there is an instruction attached to the blessing. Blessings are not random gifts thrown from the sky. They are invitations. They are doors. And doors must be opened. Between now and tonight, you will feel a nudge. A thought. A quiet instruction. It might seem simple. It might feel small. Do it. Because that is the opening. The last step of faith qualified you. The next act of obedience activates it. This is why you must not tell anyone. When God prepares a personal reward, He protects it from interference. Words carry energy. When you speak too soon, you expose something that is still forming. Have you noticed how every time you shared something early in the past, it slowed down? That will not happen again. This time, heaven is teaching you restraint. Archangel Michael is standing as a spiritual guardian over this promise. Not to create fear, but to ensure alignment. There are forces that would love to distract you before tonight. Distractions will come disguised as urgency, drama, or sudden emotional triggers. Do not react. Stay centered. Because what is coming is not small. This is a reward tied specifically to your faith. Not your perfection. Not your history. Not your qualifications. Your faith. When you chose to believe despite uncertainty, you proved something in the unseen realm. You showed heaven that you can be trusted with more. And more is coming. But I need you to understand the seriousness of this moment tonight is not random. There is a spiritual timing connected to it. A window. A divine alignment that will not remain open forever. This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to waken you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are precisely on schedule. The reason this feels urgent is because it is. God does not rush, but when He sets a time, it carries purpose. Between now and that date, watch carefully. Watch your dreams. Watch the subtle confirmations. Watch the sudden peace. And most importantly, guard your mouth. This blessing is not for public discussion. It is not for group chats. It is not for validation. It is a personal reward. Some rewards are loud and visible. This one is intimate and strategic. When it unfolds, people will notice change, but they will not know the reason. And that is how it must be. Because what God is about to give you is not just a gift. It is preparation. Preparation for influence. Preparation for stability. Preparation for something larger that is still forming behind the curtain. And Archangel Michael is ensuring that what belongs to you will not be stolen, delayed, or misdirected. Right now, you might feel anticipation, or curiosity, or even doubt. That is normal. But do not let doubt override obedience. The fact that this message found you is not random. The fact that you are still listening is not random. Something in your spirit recognizes truth when it hears it. You took a step of faith recently, and heaven responded. Now the question is, will you take the next step quietly? Will you open what has been prepared? Will you trust enough to stay silent until it manifests? Because once tonight passes, the window closes. Not the blessing, the window. And timing matters. So breathe. Stay alert. Listen carefully. And prepare to open what has already been signed in your name. Beloved soul, what you did recently was not ordinary, and heaven wants you to understand the weight of it. You thought it was just a decision, just a prayer, just a refusal to quit. But in the spirit, it was a declaration. It was a line drawn in the sand that said, I trust God even here. And that sentence shook something loose. The last step of faith you took was costly. It required you to ignore logic. It required you to walk without visible proof. You may have even felt alone while doing it. But that loneliness was not abandonment. It was examination. God watches how you move when no one is clapping for you. And when you chose obedience over comfort, something shifted in the unseen realm. Archangel Michael was not passive in that moment. He was standing guard over your decision, ensuring that what was triggered by your faith would not be intercepted by doubt or interference. Now listen carefully. The warning to keep this personal is not about secrecy out of fear. It is about protection out of wisdom. There are certain blessings that must mature in silence. When seeds are planted underground, they do not announce themselves. They grow in hidden places. If you dig them up too early to show others, you damage the process. This is why you must resist the urge to speak prematurely. Between now and tonight, you may feel excitement rising inside you. You may feel the urge to tell someone, to hint at something, to share your expectation. But hold it in prayer instead of conversation, because this reward is directly connected to your environment. Your house carries energy. The walls have absorbed conversations, stress, prayers, tears, and dreams. When a blessing is assigned to you, it does not just touch your bank account or your schedule. It touches your atmosphere. There is going to be a noticeable shift. Some of you will feel sudden peace in rooms that once felt heavy. Some will experience unexpected provision connected to where you live. Others will receive clarity about staying, moving, building, or restoring. But the key is timing. When God says, "Open it before tonight ends," He is speaking about alignment. There is something you must act on. It may be a phone call. It may be a message you have been hesitating to send. It may be a financial decision. It may be forgiving someone inside your own home. You will recognize it because it will feel simple but significant. Do not overthink it. The enemy loves to complicate what God makes clear. Archangel Michael's role in this season is strategic. He is not just a warrior in battle. He is also a guardian of divine assignments. And right now, your assignment is obedience in silence. The silence is testing your maturity. Can you carry good news without announcing it? Can you hold anticipation without seeking validation? Can you trust that what is forming does not need public approval? This is growth, and growth qualifies you for greater responsibility. There is also something else you need to understand. The reason this reward is personal is because your last step of faith was personal. No one else saw the internal war you fought. No one else heard the private prayers you whispered. No one else understood how difficult that choice truly was. But heaven saw it, and heaven responds. That is why this message feels intense. It is not hype. It is confirmation. Something is already in motion. However, distraction will try to pull your focus away in these final days before tonight. Small arguments, sudden doubts, unexpected demands on your time. These are not random. They are attempts to shift your attention so you miss the moment of instruction. Stay alert. Guard your peace fiercely. If this message is resonating with your spirit, take a moment to engage with it. Like this video so more people who are in a similar season can find it. Share it with someone who needs quiet confirmation instead of loud noise. Comment below if you feel that your last step of faith is finally being acknowledged. And if you have not already, subscribe and become part of this growing community. Your support spreads these prophetic messages further than you realize. And hear this clearly before we move deeper. What is coming is not just about material blessing. It is about positioning. God is placing you where your obedience will multiply. He is establishing you quietly so that when elevation happens, it feels natural, not sudden. Trust the process. Trust the timing. And above all, trust the instruction. Because what unfolds next will make sense of everything you have endured. Hold on to that. What is about to be revealed will explain why the silence was necessary. Faithful one, there is something deeper happening than you realize, and it is unfolding quietly around you. You have been wondering why the atmosphere feels different, why certain conversations have slowed down, why some people have become distant without explanation. What you are experiencing is not rejection. It is divine separation. When God decides to bless you because of your last step of faith, He does not simply hand you a reward. He restructures your environment to sustain it. Your obedience triggered a rearrangement. Archangel Michael has been positioned not only as a protector, but as a divider in this season. He is separating noise from clarity. He is filtering influences. He is blocking subtle interference that once had access to your emotions. And here is what you must understand. The reason God warned you, "Don't tell anyone," is because this reward is not meant to be validated by human agreement. It is validated by heaven's record of your faith. You stepped forward when it was easier to step back. You forgave when it was easier to hold resentment. You gave when it felt safer to withhold. You trusted when the outcome was unclear. That act did something powerful. In the unseen realm, it was marked as maturity. And maturity unlocks access. There is a door that has your name written on it. It has been there for some time, but it remained closed because growth had to match opportunity. Now, because of your last decision, alignment has happened. But the door will not stay open forever. When the message says, "Open it before tonight ends," it is not speaking about panic. It is speaking about readiness. There will be a moment, subtle but unmistakable, where you will sense that it is time to move. It may come through a sudden confidence. It may come through a repeated sign. It may come through an unexpected invitation. Do not hesitate. Hesitation is often disguised as wisdom, but sometimes it is fear wearing a thoughtful mask. You have already proven that you can act in faith. This is simply the continuation of that courage. Something else is happening as well. Your house, the place where you rest and think and dream, is undergoing a quiet spiritual cleansing. Old heaviness is lifting. Lingering discouragement is dissolving. The arguments that once felt repetitive will lose their intensity. Peace will begin to feel natural again. That is part of the reward. Some blessings do not arrive as money or applause. They arrive as stability. They arrive as restored energy. They arrive as clarity in your own mind. Archangel Michael is ensuring that what enters your space next is aligned with your destiny. There are connections being redirected. There are conversations being delayed for your protection. There are outcomes being adjusted in your favor. And yet, you must remain silent. This silence is not weakness. It is strategy. Every time you resist the urge to announce what God is doing, you strengthen your spiritual discipline. Every time you choose prayer over publicity, you reinforce the protection around your blessing. There are people who would misunderstand this season if you explained it. Not because they are evil, but because they are not in the same place of growth. What God is doing in you is specific to your journey. This is a personal reward. It is deeply connected to your obedience, and obedience is always intimate. Do you remember how uncertain you felt before taking that last step of faith? You almost delayed it. You almost talked yourself out of it. But something inside you said, "Trust God anyway." That whisper was not random. It was guidance. And now, the response from heaven is equally intentional. You may notice small confirmations appearing. A scripture that stands out. A song that feels personal. A stranger saying something that mirrors your private prayer. These are not coincidences. They are reminders that you are on schedule tonight, carries a spiritual timestamp for you. When that day ends, a cycle closes, not in loss but in transition. A window for activation is within your reach right now. So pay attention. Clean your space if you feel led to. Pray in your home. Speak peace over your environment quietly. Prepare yourself mentally for movement. Because once you open what has been prepared, things will begin to shift quickly. And when they do, remain grounded. This is not about pride. It is about gratitude. It is about recognizing that faith is never wasted. Heaven saw your courage. Heaven recorded your obedience. And heaven decided to respond. If this message confirms what you have been sensing, then seal it with intention. Type "I receive" in silence in the comments if this is aligning with your spirit. Blessing code 818 has just been released over your season. Now hear this final truth in this moment. What you are stepping into is not random favor. It is earned trust. And trust from God is the foundation of lasting elevation. As this word settles into your heart, understand that spreading it further is not about building a platform. It is about building an altar of light in a dark world. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a harvest of awakened souls. The Lord declares, "As you pour, I will cause rivers to rise around you." This is not a donation. This is a seed placed into living soil. I feel led to say this clearly. When you move in obedience right now, heaven marks it. Just as your last step of faith unlocked a personal reward, this act of giving unlocks unseen covering and increase. You become a partner in releasing oil where there is dryness and fire where there is doubt. The light you help send out will return to your own house multiplied. This is a prophetic moment of alignment. You not watch from a distance when you are called to build. Those who respond will see open doors and divine provision meet them in unexpected ways. Step forward boldly. Activate your support. Sow the seed. And watch what God does next. Precious one, the atmosphere around you is growing thinner between the natural and the spiritual, and that is why your senses feel heightened lately. You may have noticed that your intuition has become sharper. You sense things before they happen. You feel shifts before they are visible. This is not anxiety. This is awareness. When God prepares to bless someone because of faith, He increases their discernment so they can steward what is coming. Your last step of faith did more than unlock a reward. It uprated your spiritual sensitivity. Archangel Michael is not only guarding you externally, he is strengthening you internally. There is a sharpening happening in your spirit. Old confusion is losing its grip. The fog that once clouded your judgment is clearing. That is part of the personal reward. Clarity is wealth. Peace is wealth. Direction is wealth. And you are receiving all three. But here is something you must not overlook. As clarity increases, so does responsibility. Once you see clearly, you cannot pretend you do not. Once you sense the right move, you cannot delay without consequence. This is why the instruction to open it before tonight ends carries weight. It is not about rushing. It is about responding when clarity comes. Some of you will receive a sudden understanding about a relationship inside your home. You will see what has been draining you. You will recognize patterns that have repeated for years. And when you see it, you will know what to adjust. That adjustment is the opening. Others will receive an idea that feels simple but carries long-term impact. It may relate to your work, your finances, or even the structure of your daily routine. Do not dismiss it because it feels small. The greatest shifts often begin with modest decisions. Heaven rewards obedience in layers. Your previous act of faith unlocked this current opportunity. The action you take now will unlock the next level. This is how elevation works. Not in leaps of pride, but in steps of discipline. There is also a quiet restoration happening within your confidence. For a long time, you second-guessed yourself. You questioned whether you were capable. You doubted whether God truly favored you. But now something inside you is stabilizing. You are not as insecure as you used to be. You are not as reactive as you once were. You are not as easily shaken. That stability is evidence that your faith matured. Archangel Michael stands where growth is present. He does not go chaos, he goes kali. And you are stepping deeper into yours. However, understand this carefully. When blessings approach, distractions intensify. You may experience sudden invitations that seem appealing but feel slightly off. You may encounter conversations that attempt to pull you into drama. You may feel the urge to revisit old habits because they are familiar. Recognize the pattern. The enemy rarely attacks head-on. It distracts sideways. Do not be pulled sideways. Stay centered on the instruction you sense from God. Protect your time. Protect your focus. Protect your peace. You are in a delicate window. Between now and tonight, treat your decisions with intentionality. Wake up with purpose. Go to sleep with gratitude. Speak life over your house even if you do it quietly in your own thoughts. Your environment is responding to your faith. You may notice that certain tensions inside your home begin to dissolve without confrontation. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual alignment settling into physical space. Some of you will experience unexpected favor connected to your living situation. A delayed answer may suddenly arrive. A financial pressure may ease. An opportunity related to property or stability may surface. When it happens, do not announce it immediately. Pause. Thank God privately. Let the roots go deep before you show the fruit. This season is teaching you something priceless: how to carry blessing without needing applause. That maturity will separate you from past versions of yourself. Do you remember how you used to rush to share good news because you feared it might disappear? That fear is leaving you. You are beginning to trust that what God gives cannot be stolen by silence. That is growth. And growth is what qualifies you for this personal reward. There is one more thing you must prepare for. Once you open what has been set before you, momentum will follow. Things that felt stuck will begin to move. Conversations that were delayed will progress. Decisions that lingered will finalize. Momentum can feel overwhelming if you are not grounded. So ground yourself now. Pray quietly. Organize your thoughts. Clear your space. Because when movement begins, you will need stability. Archangel Michael is ensuring that no external interference disrupts this blessing. But you must ensure that internal doubt does not sabotage it. Believe that you are worthy of what is coming. Not because of perfection, but because of obedience. Faith is currency in heaven's economy, and you have invested it wisely. The next revelation will bring even deeper understanding of why this blessing had to be personal and why silence was your greatest protection. Stay ready. Chosen vessel, there is a reason this season feels different from anything you have experienced before. In the past, when you prayed for change, you were mostly asking for relief. Relief from pressure. Relief from uncertainty. Relief from waiting. But this time, what is unfolding is not just relief. It is promotion. Your last step of faith signaled that you are no longer praying as someone desperate to escape. You are praying as someone ready to build. That shift changed everything. When God decided to bless you because of your obedience, it was not an emotional reaction. It was a strategic decision. Heaven examined your consistency. Heaven observed your restraint. Heaven measured your response under pressure. And you passed a test you did not even know you were taking. Archangel Michael was present during moments you thought were invisible. When you chose not to argue back. When you chose not to quit. When you chose to trust God's timing instead of forcing your own. Those decisions form a pattern of maturity. And maturity invites responsibility. That is why this reward is personal. It is not designed to impress others. It is designed to equip you. There is something larger ahead that requires stability in your character. If this blessing were loud in public, it would attract opinions, expectations, and pressure. But because it is intimate, it strengthens you privately before you stand publicly. This is preparation. Between now and tonight, you may notice an unusual calmness settling over you. Even situations that used to trigger anxiety will not affect you the same way. That calmness is not indifference. It is confidence being built quietly. Confidence that God is moving. Confidence that your obedience was seen. confidence that what is coming cannot be reversed by doubt. But listen carefully. There will be a moment when you are tempted to speak prematurely. Someone may ask you a question that opens the door for you to reveal what you sense. Or you may feel excitement rising inside you that wants to overflow into conversation. Pause before you respond. Silence is not suppression. Silence is stewardship. You are learning how to carry sacred things without exposing them to unnecessary energy. Words have weight. When you speak too soon, you release something that is still forming. This time, you will protect it. Archangel Michael stands as a reminder that divine assignments are guarded for a reason. There are spiritual transitions that require quiet incubation. Just as a seed grows in darkness before it reaches light, this blessing must mature in private before it manifests in public. You may also feel an urge to reorganize your physical space, to clean, to rearrange, to simplify. Do not ignore that instinct. Your environment reflects your internal state. As clarity increases within you, your surroundings will begin to align. This is part of opening the reward. Some of you will realize that the blessing is not only about gaining something new, but about releasing something old. An outdated mindset, a limiting belief, a connection that no longer aligns with your direction. Release without fear. What leaves now is making room for what is assigned to stay. Here is also a subtle strengthening happening in your discernment. You will begin to recognize when conversations are draining versus when they are uplifting. You will sense when opportunities are distractions versus when they are divine appointments. Trust that discernment. It is a gift tied to your obedience. You are no longer the version of yourself who ignored red flags. You are no longer the version who settled for less than peace. Growth has reshaped you, and heaven responds differently to those who grow. As tonight approaches, pay attention to repetition. If an idea continues to surface in your mind, do not dismiss it. If a specific action keeps returning to your thoughts, examine it prayerfully. God often confirms through repetition. The opening will not be complicated. It will be clear. And when you act, do it with calm certainty. You do not need to write. You do not need to explain. You do not need approval. You simply need obedience. Remember, this is a personal reward. It is deeply connected to your journey. Others may not understand the weight of what you overcame to reach this moment. They did not see the tears. They did not feel the internal battles. They did not wrestle with your doubts. But heaven did. Archangel Michael witnessed the turning point when you chose faith over fear, and that choice activated movement that can't be undone. You are stepping into a season where your home will feel lighter, your decisions will feel clearer, and your spirit will feel steadier. This is not temporary excitement. This is foundational change. Stay focused. Stay humble. Stay silent where necessary, because what unfolds next will confirm that your last step of faith was the key to unlocking a door you once thought was permanently closed. Prepare yourself. The timing is closer than you think. Steadfast heart. What you are feeling right now is the quiet pressure before expansion. Expansion does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it begins with a stretching, a sense that your current space, your current mindset, your current routine can no longer contain who you are becoming. That stretching is not discomfort without purpose. It is preparation for increase. Your last step of faith signaled to heaven that you are ready for enlargement. When you obeyed despite uncertainty, you broke agreement with limitation. That is why things cannot remain the same. The version of you who acted in faith cannot return to old patterns comfortably. Growth has made them too small. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of this expansion, not to intimidate you, but to reinforce divine order. Blessings without structure create chaos, but blessings with structure create legacy. This personal reward carries structure. You may begin to notice that your priorities are shifting. Things that once felt urgent now seem less important. Conversations that once entertained you now feel shallow. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. God is recalibrating your focus. There is also an internal audit happening. You are reviewing your habits, your reactions, your time management. You are becoming more intentional. That intentionality is a direct result of your last act of faith. When you stepped forward in obedience, you signaled that you value purpose over comfort. Purpose always demands refinement. Between now and tonight, refinement will intensify. You may feel prompted to wake earlier, to pray differently, to organize your finances, or to address something you have postponed. Do not resist these nudges. They are part of opening what hath been prepared. The blessing is not passive. It requires participation. Some of you are expecting a dramatic sign, but what you will receive instead is clear direction. Direction is more powerful than spectacle. Spectacle impresses for a moment. Direction sustains for a lifetime. This is why silence remains essential. When you speak too early, you invite opinions that can cloud your clarity. Not everyone around you understands the language of faith. Some interpret obedience as risk. Others interpret silence as secrecy. But you are not accountable to their interpretations. You are accountable to instruction. Archangel Michael's presence in this season symbolizes protection of alignment. There are distractions attempting to test your focus. You may feel sudden emotional triggers from past issues. Old memories may resurface. Unexpected messages from people connected to your previous season may appear. Recognize this as a test of stability. You are not required to revisit what God has already helped you outgrow. Stand firm. The expansion coming to your home and your life requires emotional maturity. Stability is the foundation of sustainable blessing. If your emotions are easily shaken, your decisions will be inconsistent. But you are being strengthened. You will notice that your reactions are slower. You will think before responding. You will choose peace over proving a point. That is growth in action. And growth attracts trust from heaven. There is something else you must understand. This reward is not only about you. It will affect those connected to you. When your atmosphere shifts, it influences everyone inside it. When your peace stabilizes, it calms others. When your clarity strengthens, it guides your household. That is why this blessing had to be earned through faith. It carries influence. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, take a moment to engage with it actively. Like this video so it reaches others who are standing at the edge of expansion. Share it with someone who needs confirmation that their obedience is not in vain. Comment below if you sense that your season is stretching into something greater. And make sure you are subscribed to this channel and connected to this community, because what is unfolding is part of a larger spiritual journey we are walking together. Stay attentive now. As tonight approaches, there will be a defining moment. It may feel ordinary on the surface, but internally, you will recognize it as the point of action. When that moment comes, do not delay. Delay is often disguised as caution. But when clarity is present, delay becomes disobedience. Move calmly. Move confidently. Move quietly. You do not need an audience for obedience. Archangel Michael's symbolic stance at your threshold reminds you that divine protection accompanies divine direction. You are not stepping forward alone. You are stepping forward supported. The expansion ahead will not overwhelm you because it matches your growth. God does not pour new responsibility into an unprepared vessel. Your preparation has been unfolding for months, maybe even years. Now it is converging into this window. Guard your thoughts. Guard your words. Guard your time. Because what you opened before tonight ends will set the tone for the months ahead. The next revelation will help you understand why this timing is so precise and why hesitation would cost more than you realize. Stay steady. Resolute spirit. The closer you move toward this divine deadline, the more you will sense the weight of timing. Timing is not pressure. Timing is precision. There are moments in life when heaven aligns circumstances, growth, opportunity, and readiness all at once. Missed timing does not always cancel a blessing, but it can delay its fullest impact. That is why this instruction carries urgency without panic. You are standing in a precise window. Your last step of faith did something extraordinary. It synchronized you with a schedule that had been waiting for your agreement. Before that act of obedience, the door existed, but it was not aligned with your readiness. Now it is. Archangel Michael's presence in this season represents spiritual order. Nothing about what is happening to you is chaotic. Even the moments that felt confusing in the past were shaping you into someone capable of sustaining what is coming. Look back for a moment. There were seasons when you prayed for immediate answers. Instead, you received delay. There were times you expected support, but you encountered solitude. You questioned why progress felt slow. Now you understand. You were being fortified. If the reward had arrived before your character strengthened, it might have overwhelmed you. But now, your foundation is different. You respond differently. You think differently. You choose differently. A transformation is the real miracle. As tonight approaches, pay attention to your internal dialogue. The enemy will attempt subtle whispers of doubt. Thoughts like, maybe this is just coincidence. Or, what if I'm overthinking all of this? These whispers are not random. They are attempts to disconnect you from confidence. Confidence is essential in this final stretch. You do not need dramatic signs to validate what God is doing. The fact that your spirit feels alert is confirmation. The fact that this message resonates deeply is evidence. The fact that you sense something shifting is not imagination. It is alignment. You may also feel a quiet urgency to resolve unfinished matters. Perhaps there is something in your home that needs repair. Perhaps there is a conversation that needs gentle closure. Perhaps there is a habit that needs to end. Handle it. The blessing you are about to open thrives in order, not chaos. When your environment reflects stability, you make room for expansion. Archangel Michael symbolizes the clearing of spiritual clutter. In your case, that clearing may look practical. Removing unnecessary items, organizing important documents, creating physical space where there was once disorder. Do not underestimate these actions. Physical alignment often mirrors spiritual alignment. There is another layer to this reward that you must understand. It is deeply personal because it addresses a prayer you stopped speaking out loud. At some point, you lowered your expectations to protect yourself from disappointment. You told yourself that maybe this area of your life would never fully shift. But heaven never agreed with that limitation. Your recent act of faith reactivated a promise you thought had expired. That is why this feels intense. God is not only blessing your present, He is redeeming your past disappointment. However, redemption requires participation. When the moment to act comes, do not shrink back into old fear. You are not the same person who once hesitated. You are stronger now. Wiser now. More discerning now. Trust that growth, the silence you have maintained, is strengthening your inner resilience. Every day you resist the urge to announce what is forming. You prove to yourself that you can carry weight without external validation, that self-trust is priceless. You are learning to move with God quietly before moving publicly. As the deadline draws nearer, you may feel waves of anticipation. That anticipation is healthy if it remains grounded in peace. Do not let excitement turn into anxiety. Remember, this is not about racing against time. It is about responding within time. The door is open, but you must walk through it. Archangel Michael stands as a reminder that protection accompanies obedience. You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something fortified. What God releases, He also sustains. Hold your focus steady. Resist distractions. Avoid unnecessary conflict. Guard your energy carefully. The next movement in this journey will reveal the deeper spiritual meaning behind the date itself and why this specific period carries such transformative potential for your household and your future. Stay ready. The alignment is almost complete. Attentive soul, the date itself carries more meaning than you realize, and this is why the instruction is so specific. Tonight is not random in your spiritual timeline. It represents closure and commencement happening at the same time. One chapter seals, another begins. But the transition point requires conscious agreement. Heaven does not force doors open. It invites you to turn the handle. Your last step of faith positioned your hand on that handle. There is a spiritual law woven into this moment. When obedience meets timing, acceleration follows. That is what is forming around you now. Acceleration does not mean chaos. It means that what once moved slowly will begin to respond quickly. Delayed answers will find resolution. Lingering uncertainty will crystallize into direction. Stagnant energy inside your home will shift into movement. But here is the deeper layer. This reward is not simply about receiving something new. It is about confirming who you have become. The person you were a year ago could not carry this. The person you are today can. Archangel Michael's presence in this narrative symbolizes divine authorization. In spiritual imagery, he stands where battles have already been decided. That is important for you to understand. The struggle connected to this blessing has already been settled in your favor. What remains is your response. You may feel a subtle stirring in your spirit as this state approaches. Dreams may become more vivid. Ideas may feel clearer. You may even sense a gentle detachment from people or situations that once consumed your focus. Do not interpret that detachment as loss. It is elevation. When God prepares to bless you personally, He reduces noise around you. He simplifies your circle. He narrows your focus. This is not isolation. It is refinement. There is something sacred about what is unfolding in your home. Some of you will notice physical changes soon. Repairs completed. Opportunity related to poverty. Financial adjustments that relieve pressure. Others will experience emotional healing within the walls of their house. Old tension dissolving. Communication softening. These are not coincidences. They are signs of alignment. The instruction to remain silent remains crucial because silence opens perception. When you are not busy explaining your season to others, you hear God more clearly. When you are not defending your expectations, you preserve your energy for obedience. And obedience is what opens the reward. You must also recognize that hesitation at this stage would not erase the blessing, but it would complicate the timeline. God honors free will. If you delay action out of fear, you extend your own waiting. But you are not the same fearful person anymore. Your last step of faith proved that. Think back to the moment you decided to trust despite uncertainty. There was trembling, yes, but there was also resolve. That same resolve is required now. Archangel Michael represents courage aligned with purpose. Not reckless boldness, but disciplined bravery. This is your invitation to embody that same discipline. As tonight draws near, simplify your thoughts. Do not overanalyze every sign. Do not search for hidden codes in every conversation. The opening will be clear. It will align with peace, not panic. If something feels rushed and chaotic, it is not the door. If something feels calm and certain, even if it requires courage, that is likely the step. Trust the peace. There is also a financial undertone for some of you. The reward may involve provision that stabilizes your household and may come through an unexpected channel. It may involve an idea you have delayed pursuing. Do not dismiss practical action as less spiritual. God often works through tangible decisions. Remember, your obedience activated movement. Now your attentiveness sustains it. If this message has been confirming what you have sensed privately, seal this moment with intention. Type "My house is aligned" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1248 is now flowing over your home and your decisions. Understand this clearly. What is happening is not hype. It is preparation meeting promise. And promises fulfilled quietly often last longer than those announced loudly. Hold steady. Protect your peace. Open what is set before you with confidence before tonight ends. The next revelation will carry you into the final layer of understanding about why this personal reward marks the beginning of a greater assignment. As you step into this alignment, recognize that spreading this message is part of your obedience. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are planting seeds into fertile ground where weary hearts find renewal. The Lord whispers, "As you water others, I will water you." This is more than support. It is partnership in light. I sense a prompting in my spirit to say this directly. When you act now, you participate in someone else's breakthrough. Your generosity becomes oil that keeps this lamp burning for souls searching in darkness. Just as your house is being aligned, your seed creates alignment in another household. This is a prophetic exchange. Give as an act of faith, not obligation. Those who sow into this word will reap clarity, provision, and unexpected favor. Do not hesitate in this sacred moment. Step forward. Release your seed. Activate your partnership and watch how heaven responds. Awakened heart, you are now standing at the edge of culmination, and the atmosphere around you is charged with quiet completion. Everything that has been unfolding until this point had been preparation for a decisive internal shift. The blessing itself is significant, yes, but the transformation within you is the true foundation. Without that inner shift, even the greatest reward would feel temporary. But this is not temporary. Your last step of faith created a permanent imprint on your spiritual identity. You proved to yourself that obedience is not something you only talk about. It is something you live. That realization changes how you walk, how you decide, how you speak. Archangel Michael's symbolic presence in this season reflects finality in battle. The resistance that once surrounded this area of your life has weakened. What once felt like constant opposition has grown strangely quiet. That silence is not emptiness. It is victory settling in. You may have noticed that certain struggles no longer provoke the same reaction. Issues that once drained you now feel manageable. Situations that once seemed overwhelming now appear solvable. This is evidence that something has already shifted. Before the visible blessing manifests, the internal breakthrough occurs. You are no longer waiting from a place of desperation. You are waiting from a place of expectancy. That distinction matters. Desperation demands. Expectancy trusts. As tonight approaches its final hours, you must guard your emotional stability. There may be a subtle surge of pressure, a feeling that something must happen dramatically to validate everything you have sensed. Resist that expectation. The most powerful moves of God are often quiet. The opening you are instructed to make may not feel theatrical. It may be as simple as sending a message you have drafted but never sent. It may be confirming a decision you have already prayed about. It may be releasing fear around an opportunity that has been waiting patiently. Do not look for fireworks. Look for peace. Peace is the confirmation. There is also a restoration happening in your self-perception. For a long time, you questioned whether you were worthy of sustained blessing. You may have felt that good moments were temporary, that stability would eventually disappear. That mindset is being dismantled. You are learning that God does not tease with favor. When He decides to bless because of faith, it is intentional and strategic. The personal nature of this reward is shaping your confidence. Because it is unfolding quietly, you are not distracted by outside opinions. You are building inner assurance that does not depend on applause. That assurance will serve you in future seasons. Archangel Michael symbolizes disciplined strength. Strength without chaos. Authority without noise. You are embodying that same quiet authority now. You are less reactive, more observant, slower to speak, faster to discern. This is not accidental growth. It is cultivated through obedience. As the date closes in, take inventory of your heart. Is there lingering doubt? Bring it into prayer instead of suppression. Is there excitement? Ground it in gratitude. Is there fear? Counter it with remembrance of how far you have come. You did not reach this moment by accident. The internal alignment you feel is confirmation that the door is real. There may also be subtle signs of confirmation around your home. A sense of lightness when you walk through the rooms. A renewed desire to improve your environment. A spontaneous moment of gratitude for what you already have. These are indicators of shift. When the opening moment arrives, act with composure. You do not need to announce it. You do not need to explain it. Simply move. And once you move, release expectation of immediate spectacle. Some blessings unfold gradually after the initial act of obedience. The door opens first. The manifestation walks in steadily. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the growth that brought you here. You are not the same person who once doubted every opportunity. You are someone who has tasted the strength that comes from stepping out in faith. That strength will carry you beyond this date. The final revelation ahead will seal everything together and clarify why this personal reward is only the beginning of a broader assignment tied to your influence, your household, and your future. Remain steady. The threshold is right in front of you. Courageous one, this is the hour where intention must become action. You have felt the buildup. You have sensed the shift. You have guarded your silence. Now everything narrows into a decisive movement. Not loud, not dramatic, but intentional. The reason God warned you, don't tell anyone. This is a personal reward. Open it before tonight ends. Was never about secrecy for secrecy's sake. It was about cultivating spiritual discipline before visible increase. Discipline sustains what desire cannot. Your last step of faith was proof that you are no longer led by emotion alone. You acted from conviction, and conviction is what heaven trusts. Archangel Michael symbolizes unwavering resolve in moments that determine direction. He does not hesitate at thresholds. He stands firm and moves when instructed. That same steadiness is being formed inside you. As this window closes, you may feel a final wave of testing, a distraction that tries to consume your focus, an unexpected inconvenience, a conversation that attempts to pull you into explanation mode. Recognize it for what it is. When breakthrough is near, distraction often intensifies. Do not allow small disturbances to derail a significant moment. Return to center quickly. Pray briefly but sincerely. Reaffirm your trust in God's timing. Then proceed with calm clarity. The opening may look simple. Perhaps it is confirming a decision you have delayed. Perhaps it is finalizing paperwork. Perhaps it is releasing a fear that has kept you from stepping forward. Whatever it is, it will feel aligned with peace. Peace is your compass. Do not confuse peace with ease. Sometimes peace accompanies courageous action. It may stretch you, but it will not torment you. There is also something powerful happening in your identity. You are no longer asking whether you deserve blessing. You are recognizing that obedience positions you for it. That mindset shift alone will alter your future decisions. This personal reward is reinforcing a new standard in your life. You will no longer shrink to fit environments that limit you. You will no longer chase validation from people who misunderstand your growth. You will no longer speak prematurely about things God asked you to guard. That maturity is priceless. Archangel Michael's symbolic presence reminds you that battles are won through discipline, not noise. And you have fought quietly. You had endured privately. You have trusted silently. And now you are about to see confirmation. If this message has walked with you step by step and strengthened your spirit, engage with it actively. Like this video so others standing at their own threshold can find clarity. Share it with someone who is learning to move in silent obedience. Comment below if you sense that this is your moment of alignment. And if you have not yet subscribed, join this community and stay connected, because these messages are part of a greater journey of growth and faith. As tonight reaches its final hours, remain composed. Do not rush impulsively. Do not overthink unnecessarily. Simply respond when clarity settles in your heart. Once you act, release the outcome to God. That is crucial. Faith initiates action. Trust releases control. You have already demonstrated faith. Now demonstrate trust. There may not be instant visible change the second you move, but something will shift in the atmosphere. You will feel a sense of completion, a quiet assurance that you did not miss the moment. That assurance is confirmation. Your household will begin to reflect this shift gradually. Stability increasing, communication improving, financial or practical matters organizing themselves more smoothly. It will not feel forced. It will feel aligned. And you will know that your silence protected this blessing until it was strong enough to stand. The next and final revelation will reveal why this personal reward is not an ending, but the foundation of a larger assignment that extends beyond this date. Stand firm. Move wisely. Trust deeply. The door is open. Enduring one. You have crossed the threshold in the spirit, even if your eyes are still adjusting in the natural. Something finalized when you chose obedience within the appointed time. Whether the action felt small or significant, your agreement with God's instruction sealed a cycle. And when a cycle seals properly, it does not reopen to haunt you. That is important. Many people repeat seasons because they hesitate at decisive moments. But you did not hesitate forever. You moved. You responded. You honored the timing. And because of that, this blessing will not feel fragile. It will feel established. There is a deep settling happening inside you now. A quiet confidence replacing the old tension. You are not anxiously scanning for proof. You are not scrambling for reassurance. You sense completion. The inner stillness is evidence that alignment has taken place. Archangel Michael's symbolic role in this journey has always pointed to spiritual authority grounded in obedience. Authority is not loud. It does not need constant validation. It simply stands. And you are beginning to stand differently. The personal reward you opened was never meant to inflate ego. It was meant to anchor identity. God wanted you to see what happens when you trust Him fully. He wanted you to experience the fruit of silent faith so that you never doubt its power again. Now, your relationship with obedience has changed. Before, obedience felt risky. Now obedience feels empowering. You have learned that when God gives instruction, it is not to restrict you but to position you. The silence you maintained was not deprivation. It was protection. The restraint you practiced was not weakness. It was wisdom. And wisdom always multiplies. You may begin to notice subtle confirmations unfolding around you. Doors opening with less resistance. Conversations flowing with less strain. Solutions appearing where there were once complications. These are not random improvements. They are the ripple effects of alignment. Your household will particularly reflect this shift. Even if others do not know the full story, they will sense the difference. Your presence will carry calm authority. Your decisions will carry clarity. Your words will carry weight. This is influence rooted in faith. There is also something healing within you that deserves acknowledgement. The fear that you would miss your moment has been confronted and defeated. You did not miss it. You responded. That victory heals old wounds connected to regret. You are no longer living under the shadow of what if. You are living in the confidence of I obeyed. That shift alone will transform how you approach future opportunities. Archangel Michael symbolizes the closing of battles that once strained you. You are stepping into a phase where energy once spent on internal conflict can now be invested in purposeful growth. Instead of wrestling with doubt, you will build with conviction. Instead of hesitating, you will initiate. Instead of shrinking, you will expand. The personal reward was proof that heaven trusts your growth. And trust from heaven is sacred. Guard it carefully. Do not allow pride to distort what humility built. Do not allow distraction to erode what discipline established. Continue practicing silence where necessary. Continue choosing prayer over impulse. Continue prioritizing peace over proving a point. This is your new standard. As you move forward, you will notice that opportunities begin to align with your maturity. Things that once felt out of reach will now feel appropriate. Responsibilities that once seemed overwhelming will now feel manageable. Growth has recalibrated your capacity. Remember this feeling. Remember the clarity that followed obedience. Remember the peace that confirmed alignment. Because future seasons will require similar courage. And when they do, you will not start from uncertainty. You will start from experience. You now have evidence in your own life that faith activates movement. The final message ahead will tie everything together and reveal why this personal reward is the foundation of an even greater calling attached to your influence and your stewardship. Stand steady. You have stepped into a new level of trust. Beloved child of destiny, this is not the end of a message. It is the unveiling of a mantle. What you experience through this personal reward was never meant to be isolated to one date or one decision. It was a divine demonstration. God showed you what happens when faith is exercised without announcement, when obedience is chosen without applause, when trust overrides fear. He showed you that heaven responds. The instruction to open it before tonight ended was not about urgency alone. It was about awakening you to your own authority and partnership with God. You were not waiting helplessly for something to fall into your lap. You were invited to participate in the release. And you did. That act sealed something powerful over your life. Now understand the deeper truth. Personal rewards are often precursors to public assignments. God blesses you privately so you can stand publicly without arrogance. He builds you in silence so that when visibility comes, your foundation does not crack. The discipline you practiced in guarding this blessing has prepared you for influence you have not yet seen. Archangel Michael's symbolic presence throughout this journey reflects more than protection. It reflects commissioning. In spiritual imagery, he does not only defend, he announces transitions. And you, whether you fully realize it or not, have crossed into a new level of spiritual responsibility. Your home will continue to feel different. The atmosphere will stabilize. Ideas will flow with greater clarity. Provision will come with less strain. But beyond the practical, your spirit will feel anchored. That anchoring is essential for what is next. You are stepping into a season where others will observe your steadiness. They may not know the details. They may not know about the silent obedience or the guarded blessing. But they will see the fruit. They will see peace where there used to be tension. They will see confidence where there used to be hesitation. They will see wisdom where there used to be reaction. And some will quietly ask how you changed. That is when your testimony will carry weight. Because it will not be theoretical. It will be lived. The personal reward was proof that God trusts you with more. And trust from God is not given casually. It is cultivated through consistency. You have shown consistency. Now the greater assignment begins. You will be entrusted with decisions that impact more than just you. Your discernment will sharpen further. Your intuition will guide not only your steps, but the atmosphere around you. Your prayers will carry new authority because they are backed by experience. Archangel Michael symbolizes disciplined courage, and that same disciplined courage will define your next season. You will not chase noise. You will not rush visibility. You will move when directed and remain still when instructed. That rhythm will protect you. As you close this chapter, do not lose the habits that brought you here. Continue guarding sacred things. Continue valuing obedience over opinion. Continue choosing faith over comfort. There will be new dates, new instructions, new thresholds. But now you know how to respond. You are no longer the person who doubts at every door. You are someone who listens, discerns, and moves. And heaven responds to that kind of heart. Seal this entire journey now with intention. Type "I walk in divine trust" in the comments if you receive this calling. Blessing code 3003 is now activated over your life and household. Carry this forward with humility. Carry it with confidence. Carry it knowing that what began as a personal reward has become the foundation of a greater purpose. You were tested. You obeyed. You were trusted. And now you are commissioned. As this mantle settles on you, hear this clearly. This mission is not about a channel. It is about igniting faith in homes across the world. When you release a super thanks, join as a member, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are planting into a harvest of souls. The Lord declares, Those who sow in faith will reap in overflow. I speak this as a living word over you. The same obedience that unlocked your personal reward can unlock increase through your generosity right now. This is your moment to say, I partner with this light. Your seed becomes oil that keeps this fire burning for someone on the edge of giving up. As you give, heaven marks your name as a builder of altars, a carrier of flame. Do not stand at a distance from what is feeding your spirit. Step into alignment. Release your seed. Activate your support. And watch how God multiplies it back into your house with favor, stability, and open doors.